Joining me now is Daily Signal executive editor Rob Bluey. Rob, it's going to be a rough open for the stock markets again this morning, although I should note we were down 1,400 points on the Dow overnight. It's now 700 points. I know that still doesn't look that great to a lot of people, but something may be up here, or maybe not. Maybe just some of the sellers decided to sleep in. But look, Rob, we know the bankers and the brokers don't like these tariffs, not just for 1 minute. But what's your take on how Main Street is reacting to all of this so far?
Sure. Well, Jake, good morning to you. And I think that is the question on everyone's mind, probably most importantly, those staffers working in the White House and President Trump. Because, a remarkable thing about Donald Trump from that moment that he entered politics in 2015 is that he's always had the little guy or the working American top of mind. And I think that he's obviously been able to have great success appealing to that group of individuals because they recognize that the system is broken and he's doing things to try to change it. Now, as so many people have said, there might be some short-term pain before we see some of those long-term gains in terms of jobs returning to the United States, the trade imbalance wiped away. But in this meantime, yes, I think it's important for Main Street to have faith that Donald Trump knows what he's doing. And even as we have these debates among economists and others, and Wall Street, sees the Dow tumble, we have to remember that the system is not working as it should. Families are suffering. We're paying far more today as a result of the government spending spree that Joe Biden went on. And it's going to take some work and some time to fix things.
I think that's what most of Main Street is willing to listen to for now. I think it's been a bipartisan issue about trying to get more blue-collar jobs back into this country, more things made in this country. And the reason why I say bipartisan, Rob, is because it's funny to see the Democrats uniformly not only oppose these tariffs, but stand up for Wall Street billionaires. They've probably seen on social media, for those of you who haven't, you can easily find it. You can see video after video of some of the biggest name Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama, Chuck Schumer, just some of them, talking about how they're in favor of tariffs, talking about how the trade balance against the United States is impossible. They all sound like what Trump is saying just a few years ago. But I've never seen them fired up like they are for these Wall Street bankers today, ever. You would think that they were a Trendy Agua member who was trying to play for the Washington Bullets or something. I don't know what's going on here.
Jake, it is remarkable. I remember back in the 2000s, and obviously even before then, when Democrats, one of their most potent attacks was this billionaires for Bush. They went after the Republican Party and its ties to Wall Street almost daily. And you've had a complete flip. Now it's the Republican Party that's looking out for the little guy, the working class American. It's the Democrats who are looking out for those big interests, special interests, Wall Street types. And you see it in the political campaign donations. It's no wonder, just follow the money and you can understand why Democrats are taking the position that they are. Almost uniformly, you're correct that Democrats have come out and opposed exactly what President Trump has done. The one exception seems to be the delegation from Michigan, which I think recognizes the problems in that state with manufacturing and the fact that a lot of those good paying jobs at automobile factories have disappeared overseas. And so I don't know ultimately where the Democratic Party lands on this. In the past, they've obviously been more supportive of things like tariffs. But again, they struggled deeply in the 2024 election with this very constituency of working class Americans. And that's why you had people like Bernie Sanders come out and say, look, the party's lost its way. We need to figure out how to get back on track.
Yeah, but Sanders is still sticking up for Wall Street on this. He's against the tariffs now. Listen, it's one of the things. Listen, whether they deserved it or not, and I would make the argument that they didn't. But if they deserved it or not, the Democrats were very successful in branding themselves as the party for the little guy, for the poor people, not for the richest people around. And they've lost that branding. It isn't just because of Donald Trump. It's also because of their obsession with Hollywood issues, going too far on the environment, going too far on things like boys and girls locker rooms, all that kind of stuff. And now it's coming home to roost. And it's amazing to me they had this one last chance to say, hey, you know what? On this, we're going to go with Trump. And they aren't. And they're literally crying for Wall Street. It's incredible. Okay, Rob, the mainstream news media tells us that 1 million, billion, trillion people stormed out of their homes this weekend to protest Donald Trump and Elon Musk. They called it the hands-off protests. I looked at the protesters, and most of them looked like senior citizens who were definitely angry, but perhaps confused. Should the president and Elon Musk be worried, or should someone call and report elder abuse? Because that really felt like what this was this weekend.
Well, I encourage your audience to go to the Daily Signal and check out some of the signs that our team captured in the Washington, D.C. version of that protest. And yeah, I think as you see, not only in articles like that and in the news coverage of what happened over the course of the weekend, there are a couple of things top of mind. Number one, there were individuals who didn't clearly understand why they were even there. I think that this Trump hatred is driving most of it. They're not actually standing up for something, which is a stark contrast for the Tea Party movement in 2009, when there was a clear direction among those protesters that they wanted to see smaller government, more limited government. In this particular case, I think it's a hodgepodge of ideas. Yes, maybe there were some seniors who turned out because they felt that Social Security benefits were in jeopardy, which, by the way, has Donald Trump been more consistent about anything since he entered the political fray than the fact that he won't touch Social Security benefits? So I don't understand why people get so worked up about that particular issue. But then, yes, any number of left-wing causes you see on display or represented in these signs, Jake, and I don't necessarily think that they connect with the American people, in part because a lot of these issues that are embraced by the far radical left, conservatives have a huge advantage on when it comes to the polling issues. And so I'm not necessarily sure where all this energy will ultimately lead. Obviously, they had a big win in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, but they also dumped a lot of money into those Florida congressional seats last week, and they lost both of them. So, it's a mixed bag on the part of Democrats and those on the left.
I think that this has continued to happen since Trump's first term. They can get a decent crowd out there, and I give them credit for that. That's not the easiest thing to do. It's still a little bit chilly out there and rainy in a lot of parts of the country. I give them credit for that, absolutely. But they lack their inability to articulate a single message. They were trying a chant called "Hands Off Our Constitution." These are the people who have been waging war on the Constitution for a very long time. These are the ones who tell us the Constitution was written by white slave men, slave owners. I mean, they just don't have that kind of consistent messaging. No wonder people are confused. I think they did frighten a bunch of elderly Americans into thinking something was going to happen with their Social Security. And I think when they realized that actually hasn't happened, they've been getting their checks or their deposits, they didn't know what they were doing out there. But maybe they met some nice new young people and talked about knitting.